time I say I'm gonna take some time off, y'all. All the cashiers, they was like, somebody stole her truck. It's like you can hear it all throughout the store. This Rox coming to you today with a review for Love and Marriage Detroit, Love and Marriage Huntsville, our book 4, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Let's get to it, shall we? Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox coming to you today with a special story time. You guys are always asking for story times. This is really, I was going to put this story at the beginning of Top of the Blogs, just telling you guys about, what's been going on the last couple of weeks. But I knew that as I was thinking about what I wanted to say, I felt like this video was going to be long and it was going to probably take up the first half of Top of the Blog. So I was like, let me just do a story time. And maybe I can kill two birds with one stone. I know you guys want to know what's going on. And also, you guys always asking for a story time. I mean, it ain't going to be one of them fun story times, but it's a story time nonetheless. The reason why I didn't do Top of the Blog, okay, let me just start at the beginning. So you guys know that I've been having these issues. I guess it can be contributed somewhat to menopause without just really getting in my business. But I mean, I got to tell you guys what's going on. So, now that I've hit 50, this started around when I turned 51-ish. I could just see things were changing as far as my cycle was concerned. I know if this is men or something, you might not be interested. So that's why this is also story time sectioned out. So if women just want to watch it, that's fine, But maybe men want to watch it for their significant others or, what their family member might be going through. So anyway, the biggest change in my cycle was the fact that I was starting to have extremely heavy and extremely long cycles, lasting anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months. Okay. It just never, and I never was one to have those kind of issues. I've always had a very regular cycle, always came on time. I mean, like I could to the day know what day my cycle was coming. That's how reliable it was. But when I got to 50, that's when I started to notice it wasn't every 28 days. Now it was every 21 days. And then eventually it started getting to the point where it was lasting longer and longer and all that. So I just kind of was feeling like, okay, we're going through menopause. I've heard a lot of people talk about, having long cycles and heavy cycles and all that. So I was just like thinking that was kind of just what came with it. But it was apparent that wasn't normal when I had to get my first blood transfusion back in 2022. So at that age, I was 51. And that was when I started to really realize that, okay, this is not really normal. Because people generally that are going through menopause, at least as far as I knew, wasn't getting to the point where they had to have blood transfusions. So I did have that blood transfusion. That kind of then made me be way more aware of what was going on. So I had seen, I was going to the OBGYN and we were trying to, or at least I was just trying, I was really going by what the doctor was saying. I had a woman OBGYN, not that matters, but, I was trusting her to tell me what was going to be the best for me. And, she did do all the tests. We had MRIs and CAT scans and ultrasounds and, all these different procedures, just checking to make sure that there was no cancer in there. They did find 2 cysts. And, so the cysts, I'm understanding, are in your ovaries. Fibroid tumors are in your actual uterus, I believe. Cysts are in your ovaries. And so I had 2 cysts, but they were very, very small, just really more like a lump as opposed to like something that was like a formulated ball that was in there. But they saw these 2. And she was like, we're not really worried about them. They biopsied what they, thought they needed to biopsy and everything looked clean. So they were like, sometimes cysts even can go away on their own. So we'll just see what it is. So I said, fine. But, she was like, she gave me some options. You can get on IUD, you can get on birth control pills, but you need to get some iron and all that. But she never made it, once all the tests came back clear, she never made it feel like it was that much of a big deal. And, I get it. Doctors are busy and doctors are not expected to be the ones that advocate for your life. You know, you have to be responsible for yourself as an adult, to make sure that you stay up on these things. But, you know, the fact that she never made it seem like, okay, this is not normal. We really need to do something about this. You know, there wasn't much follow up, you know, once all the tests came back clean. While I was going through the test, I will say, you know, she was very communicative and wanted to make sure I was getting all that done. But once everything got done and it was clean, I just was like, okay, I'm good. Okay. Still didn't really take the iron pill seriously because iron makes me constipated like most people. And I've had constipation issues for so long in my younger years, and it was a mess. And so then once I finally got my system right and you know, no longer had them issues, that was a memory of, I didn't want to go through that again. So I wasn't really taking iron pills. I wasn't. And I was going through life like normal, still with these long ass cycles and just dealing with it. But you know, that can also put a strain in many other areas. Okay. I guess I don't need to let you know, but, yeah, 3-month periods and shit, and not to mention how draining it is, how tiring it is. You know, it's also just irritating the fact that you've always got to be changing shit. And so, yeah. But anyway, fast forward to earlier this year, I could start to, maybe around November, I could start to feel like how I started feeling before when I had the first blood transfusion. I was having really, my breathing was getting labored. Like when Mr. and I was about to go to the tiny house for New Year's, at that time I had told him I didn't feel well. I felt like I needed to go to the doctor, but then I was like, I don't, you know, like, we about to go on this trip. They might admit me. Like, I just don't feel like fooling with it right now. He was like, you should go. And I was like, I'll just wait. And so we went on our trip and it was beautiful. Everything was great. Was in such a great mood at the beginning of the year, hopeful and all of that. You guys remember me telling you in my video how great that trip was. Physically though, I was starting to feel tired, and I was like, you know, and then as time was going on, I could tell that my breathing was getting more labored. And then eventually, like I told you guys before, any little incline, even walking up my driveway, I would be fully out of breath. I mean, just totally out of breath. Going up my stairs, I live in a split level house, so I'm constantly up and down the stairs, and that was just a whole lot. Had to always take a break in between, you know, the levels of the stairs, just so I could just take a break. And what finally made me go to the doctor, one day I was walking Blue, and you know, it's always, now that it's starting to warm up, this was at the beginning of February. Was this February? Yeah, February. It was, now that it's beginning to warm up, some people are starting to let their little dogs out, just let them out to use the bathroom, never on a leash. So I'm prepared. I know that that's what they do, but you know, when a bitch can't breathe and her heart is racing and shit, you know, you just want the walk to go smoothly. So I was walking Blue, and here comes this little Yorkie. And the Yorkie just would not, you know, Blue does not like dogs. And so, but I've got him controlled enough now that he won't go after a dog unless a dog is coming at him. So we're walking, here comes this Yorkie. I'm just like, oh my God, the dog is constantly running up to us. I'm trying to kick at the dog, telling it to get away. The owner is nowhere to be found. This dog is so far away from the house that I believe it lived in, you know, that I couldn't even tell anybody, like, yell, like, get your fucking dog, even though I was yelling that because I was wondering if maybe I didn't know what was going on at that time. So anyway, Blue is trying to get to the dog, and Blue is 80 pounds of strength. Like, he is extremely strong. Extremely strong. So he's trying to get to the dog. I'm trying to keep him from killing this dog. That dog keep on just happily, stupidly, just running up to us and all that. And for about 10 minutes, we were out there tuggling, and I swear I thought I was going to faint. I was so close to fainting. I could feel like I was getting dizzy, and I was trying to hold Blue, and I was like going to throw up and like everything. And somehow I finally got Blue. The dog finally kind of like just stood there, and I was able to pull Blue, who himself was like panting and shit because I have a choker on him for just these type of reasons. But you know, I shouldn't have to do this. You know, I wish people, I used to do this too, so I know. You know, you think that your dog is harmless, is not gonna mess with anybody, but people just forget that there are other dogs, people walking dogs that might not be friendly like yours, and it's gonna be an issue. I have a pit bull. He is gonna kill your dog, you know, so I control my dog, expect everybody. Anyway, I don't need to give y'all that speech. So anyway, once that was done, I had to sit on the curb and just get myself together, because I was like, I'm gonna faint. Like, I'm gonna faint. And that at that moment, I was like, I gotta go to the doctor. Like, I can't keep doing this. You know, one of my neighbors drove by like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. I just need a minute. So anyway, that happened maybe on Monday. Finally, on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I think, I got up and I knew I was going to the hospital. I didn't even tell I didn't tell anybody. Everybody was asleep. I just put on my clothes. Well, Joe was gone to work. I put my clothes on. I packed my my Switch. I packed my planners. I packed my book that we were reading for the book club. Like, I had all that in my tote, and I just drove straight. I drove straight to urgent care. And once I got there, I already knew. I told them, you know, my heart is racing. I probably need a blood transfusion. Like, I already been here before for this. And sure enough, as soon as I got there, they take you back. When you say heart issues, let me tell you, if you need to get in that urgent care and you tired of sitting there for hours and hours, just tell them something wrong with your heart. They take you back immediately, because they can't have nobody having a fucking heart attack in they damn waiting room. So, but I really did. My heart was racing and shit. It had been racing for months. And so, sure enough, got back there. Yeah, your blood count is lower than it was the first time. I think it was like 5.9, and you know, it's supposed to be somewhere around, it's really supposed to be somewhere around 12, but they good if you hit 9, I think. And so, yeah, so the whole thing, I mean, I got back there and they're like, you're gonna have to get a blood transfusion. Immediately, they called Emory. Emory sent the ambulance or whatever, and they took me to Emory, and I got the blood transfusion. But this time, there were a few things that we were concerned about. You guys, I told you that I had lost all this weight. They were really worried because the first time I had the blood transfusion, I was 170. Now, 170 is high for me. That is overweight for me. I usually keep my weight around between 157 and 163. But as far as the hospital knew, I was 170 2 years ago, and why am I 136 today? And you know, like, what have you done? And I was like, well, I haven't been trying to lose weight. And it was funny because I knew that I had been losing weight, but anybody that's lost weight suddenly, it just seemed like one day I woke up and that shit was down. Like, all of a sudden I was 130 something fucking pounds. I haven't been that low since we moved to Georgia. That was about the weight that I was when we moved here. And so, you know, it was kind of alarming to me because I was just all of a sudden like, I am super thin. And I guess I didn't really catch it at home. I mean, I noticed that I was losing weight, like I said. But I've been working from home, so I'm always having on sweats and, you know, nothing. You wash your sweats and they shrink back up a little bit so they feel like they fit a little bit more. And, you know, you wear them and then they get loose and all that. But what really made me notice was when it was time to go back to work and I was putting on my work clothes. And now when you putting on structured shit, and, you know, then you realize, like, these pants are extremely loose. Nothing fits my butt. Nothing fits anything. You know, kind of get away with it with the shirt. But the pants was where it was really telling. And even on the shirts, you could tell because I'm heavier on the bottom. So I've already been small on top. So, you know, all of a sudden I could just tell, like, all this was super skinny, which I'm always been self-conscious of my top being thin anyway. But now this was super skinny and it was just a mess, right? So yeah, everybody was like, why are you 136 pounds, Roxanne? And I was like, you know, I don't know. It's a whole bunch of shit has happened. You know, I did lose weight when I got roofied at the fucking club back in November, but I hadn't gone down. I had gone down to like 155 or maybe about 152. That's another story time, and I don't know when I'm gonna be able to tell that story, you guys. There's a lot to that story too. But anyway, but everything was still going down, and granted, it's a lot of other, you know, this cycle has been stressing me out. And like I said, my friend Cheryl was sick, and that was stressful. And then, you know, I got other friends that are ill. And that it's just a lot that has been happening. And then personal things and just a lot of stuff going on. So I had reason, I guess, maybe I really haven't had much of an appetite, really hadn't been eating that much and all that. Anyway, down to 136. So they were concerned about that. And then also, and then the fact that I'm losing all this blood. So then, of course, they start to go to, like, are you losing blood through your stool? And I was like, no, my poop actually is really cool. I know, TMI, but it's important to the story. I was like, my poop is good. Like, I pay attention to that because I have had many friends. I mean, just recently, my friend Roxanne's sister, Astra, died from colon cancer. So, like, those kind of things I'm always super hyper aware of. I always pay attention if I'm losing blood, if my shit don't look right, and all that. So I was like, no. And they were taking fecal tests, but I hadn't had a colonoscopy. That's coming up soon too. But as far as they could tell from all of the different tests that I've had, that should look good. That looked fine, and they were like, well, I said, but bitch is bleeding like crazy. And they were like, yeah, if you're bleeding like that, yeah, you would be losing a lot of blood that way. So we need to figure it out. So this time when I went to urgent care, after I got my blood transfusion, there was a doctor there. He was very adamant, we need you to go to an internal medicine doctor. And we need to, he was concerned about this weight loss. And so that's what we did. I scheduled for the damn internal medicine guy, and he talked, ran some tests. He was like, everything is fine. He says, well, have you had stress? And I said, yes. I told him about that. He said that probably has a lot to do with the fact that you lost this weight. He said, because I'm looking, he was like, I mean, you're gonna need to get a colonoscopy. He said, but if anything comes back on that would just be really bad luck, because I'm looking at everything and it looks like there's no problems there, even with the fecal test that we've taken and all that, So he said, so I just, maybe, as I told him, my friend had passed, and even though I feel like I'm in the grieving stages still, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like it's like that. You turn the page, like, okay, she's gone. She's not in pain. I'm not worried about that or anything. So, 1 second. All right, you guys, I'm sorry. It's still hard for me to talk about Cheryl. I still can't believe that she is gone. Anyway, so he was like, the doctor was like, once, now that some things are happening, maybe you'll feel better and you'll get your appetite back and all that. So that actually is what happened. After I had the blood transfusion, it's funny, a lot of things were happening. I wasn't sleeping well and all that. After I had that blood transfusion, I could sleep. And my appetite came back full force, and everything was happening. So, I felt like, as far as that part was concerned, things were looking up. But of course, the cycle situation was still the most concerning for me. So anyway, I went to an OBGYN, a new guy. No, I actually went to a nurse practitioner. And she told me, after I told her all my issues, she was like, there's a different doctor. His name is Dr. Zalakoffer here at Kaiser. She's like, he's also a surgeon. She is like, he is the person that you need to see. She was like, if I had any issues, if I knew I needed to talk to somebody and see what was going to be the best course of action, he is the person. I would trust him with my life. He came really highly recommended to me. So I was just like, she's like, do you have a problem seeing a man? And I was like, no. And so she scheduled me with him, and I went to him, and he was great. He listened to everything I said. Never once interrupted me, which is so funny. I mean, he stared at me basically and just let me tell him the whole story, didn't move anything. And when I finished, he was like, okay, so let me make sure I got this correct. I'm gonna tell you everything that you said to me. He repeated everything almost verbatim, exactly what I said. And he said, okay. He said, what I will say is, first of all, if you want a hysterectomy, that's not off the table. If that's what you just have decided, you sick of this, all of this, and if you want that, then we'll do that. He said, but what I'm telling you is that there are other options, and I know people have kind of told you what your options are, but never really made you feel like, you know, he was just like, I just want you to consider these things because ultimately you just don't want people cutting on you unless it's absolutely necessary. But I'm not saying no to hysterectomy. And when he said that, that relieved me because I felt like I was so tired of being sick and tired of feeling like that and all that. And nobody was really telling me anything else, that it was just like, don't tell me IUDs and birth control. Like that shit, I don't feel like that. You know, I don't even want to take hormones. So, you know, birth control was still in my mind, even if it was low dosage. I was like, I don't want to do that. So I was getting so frustrated that I was automatically jumping to hysterectomy. But then when I really, really thought about it, you know, I've never had surgery. I've had my tonsils removed and I have had my tubes tied. And that is the extent of my hospital stay, any kind of illness with me. I had my tonsils removed when I was 4. Okay. So anything other than that, I've never been in the hospital. I never have been cut on. I just did not want anything, nobody cutting on me. And then the idea of having an organ removed, you know, once he told me that, that finally made me think like, Roxanne, do you really want to do this? Now, hysterectomy still is not off the table for me, but once he told me that there were other options that we can explore, you know, and he was like, and if I felt like your issue was super dire to the point, like if I saw fibroids or if I saw stuff that looked like it could maybe be cancerish, or if, you know, he was like, if I saw something like that, I'd be like, oh no, we got to take it out. He's like, but you're not at that stage. Okay. Even with these periods, there may be an explanation for why you're having these periods so long. So when he told me that, I swear I wanted to hug him. It was like the first time somebody actually listened and actually gave me, you know, some answers and all that. So when he told me that, that finally made me take my foot off the gas pedal. Okay, let's not push this surgery so hard. Let's see what other things that he said. So what we can do is we can do this other surgery. It's totally vaginal. And, you know, I'll go in there and I'll just get the cysts that I can get, and I'll, you know, take more biopsy, make sure that, you know, you're straight in the inside, you know, but we really got to rule out cancer. And, you know, so we'll schedule a surgery, and all that. So I said, okay. So, fast forward to my pre-op, which was 2 weeks ago, like on a Tuesday or something. You know, I talked to him on video and he said, okay, so the operation, the surgery was scheduled for April 11th. It's going to be at 1 o'clock. You know, he's telling me, you know, what he's going to do. He's going to, give me medication and to soften my cervix. So I will take it, you know, the night before and the day of the surgery. He said, and, we're going to put like a scope, utensil, like with the camera on it, you know, not utensil, what do they call it? You know what I'm talking about. We'll put that, you know, and it's going to open your cervix, maybe enough for just this little thing to go in. And it'll have a camera, and I can go in there and I can do the surgery, and I can get rid of any polyps and cysts, and, you know, get the tissue that I need and all that. And when he told me that soften the cervix, well, you know, I've had 2 kids. And Joe didn't come smoothly, so I was very aware of when I hear soften the cervix, I'm like, soften my cervix like in labor? And he was like, yeah, you know, you're gonna have to take medication, but it's only, you know, we ain't talking about wild dilation like when you 10 centimeters or nothing. He was like, literally, it's only big enough, like it's about this big. So I was like, okay, I mean, how bad can that be? Just this little teeny tiny, right? Okay. So, you know, and then he was like, you can't eat after midnight. You can't drink anything, you know, don't take any of your medication, you know, from here on. Like if you're taking, I was doing the iron, he said, don't do that. Don't take, you know, try not to take Motrin. If you have to, Tylenol, but, you know, it's important that night before the surgery, don't eat after midnight, nothing, don't drink nothing. I was like, okay, it's fine. Midnight, I'm going to be asleep, right? So the night before the surgery, which would have been Wednesday night, you guys, I was like, okay, I'm all set. You know, I was making sure that I was going to be eating, which hasn't been hard because the bitch has been eating her ass off because I've been trying to gain my weight back and all. So I was like, fine, I'm going to be up. I'm going to be eating my food because my surgery wasn't scheduled until 1 o'clock yesterday. And I was like, I knew I was going to be waking up in the morning. I was going to be hungry. I was going to want something. And so I was like, let me just stock up now. Also Wednesday night, so Atlanta has been having like really bad weather. So last week, we had a storm and it was so bad. It was really not, I mean, it rained really hard and everything, but it was really bad thunder and lightning, like bad. And you know, Blue, we've had Blue since he was a baby, and he has been through countless storms. But recently, these last couple of storms that we've had, he started to get upset. He starts to whine and cry. But you know, he always pushes through and he eventually goes to sleep. As you guys know, I crate Blue. And I only crate Blue. I don't crate him as punishment, or anything like that. But Blue is a highly active, highly anxious dog. So he never will sleep unless you put him to sleep, basically. So he has to be crated at night. Otherwise, he is still up and down the halls pacing. He's barking at any and every little thing he sees. I mean, don't have an Amazon package coming at 4, 5 in the morning. You know, he is fucking barking his head off. Like, and if you see a motherfucker that even look like they driving wrong down the street, you know, slow up in front of our house somewhere, he is having a fit, you know. So, he has to be crated. And you know, usually he gets in his crate. He's been crated since we got him. And you know, it's his home. I make it very comfortable. He has a very beautiful, it almost looks like furniture. I mean, it does look like furniture. It's wooden. It ain't, it's like, if he really wanted to get out the shit, he could. But you know, he's never tried to break out or anything. So the crate works out well. It goes with the decor of the house. I'll put a picture of it in here now. Because the metal one just was metal and is the middle of my nice, beautiful, you know, nice, pretty dining room. Here's his big ass crate. At least it needs to look like furniture. So anyway, the night of the storm last week, I could hear him getting, you know, he was working himself up in there. But I still didn't realize that he was getting so upset because of the storm. I thought he just wanted to get out. You know, both the dog and the cat have been crazy since I've gone back to work. It has been a huge adjustment for them because they are very attached to me. So I thought that, you know, maybe he's just tired. I mean, just been in the crate too long. You know, maybe the kids aren't taking him out as much as I normally would and all that. So that's what I was thinking. So I go out there. At this time, it's like 9 o'clock, 9:30, and I'm like, Blue, what's the matter, man? It's gonna be okay. Because I put him in the crate around 9. And he just could not. Then I should have realized that he was panting and he had that like crazy look on his face and he was just panting. And I was like, the storm really got him worked up. So I took him out of the cage, right? But I had me a glass of wine and the bitch was tired. And you know, I fills the glass up to the top. Okay, all this little shit, baby, give me the whole wine. Quit playing. So I was tired. So I got in the bed and I fell asleep. But you know, my house is all very much routine. So I hadn't really told the kids that Blue was out because of the storm and everything. I had just went to sleep. But apparently Joe had heard Blue up roaming around by like 10:30, and he was like, and I told you he's pacing and shit. You can hear his nails clacking, but the bitch was out, so I didn't hear none of that. But everybody else, you know, we working folks. So in the morning, you know, this house is shut down by 11 o'clock. It's quiet, you know. And Joe was just like, why is he up? So Joe got up and put him back in the cage. Thought maybe I had just fallen asleep and forgotten. And so Blue fucked that cage up. Okay. I was asleep, but I could hear all this movement probably around 11:45ish. I get up and Jada got this bewildered look on her face, like she's walking Blue back to the cage. She's like, why is he out? And I was like, because I let him out earlier. She was just like, oh, you know, she didn't know what the hell was going on. You know, she just kind of stumbled back to her room. I looked over at the cage and the cage was like demolished. I was like, why does this cage look like that? I didn't even know Joe had put him back. Okay. But like he had fucked up the door at the bottom. Like he got the hell up out of there. I left him out. You know, I tried to pull him a little bed, but you know, he still was just so worked up. He was anxious. He was breathing hard. He was drooling. He was all this up and down the hallway. And I just was like, by about 1:30, I told Mr. I said, I'm gonna just go lay on the couch because he is not gonna calm down. He wants even though he's at my bedroom door and he can see me in bed, he wants me to be closer. Nobody's gonna get no fucking sleep around here. That's all I kept thinking about. So I went and got on the couch. He actually jumped up on the couch. If Mr. would have saw that, he would have been like, get your ass down. But I didn't give a fuck at that time. I was just like, nigga, let's go to sleep. Shit. As soon as he got on the couch, he balled up in a little ball next to me and he fell asleep. Okay, fine. Everybody go to sleep now. But I was exhausted that next day and all that. And, so all that. So fast forward to this week, Wednesday night. Again, here's a fucking storm in Atlanta. And I was worried, even though the news said it wasn't going to be really that much rain, but it was going to be really windy. And I was like, oh, but maybe there's no thunder and lightning. Blue was going to be cool. But blue was not cool. That wind was blowing. That shit had my house was like, whoo, whoo. And then the wind would hit hard. The house would jerk. I mean, it has never been that windy here in the 20 years that I've been here. I mean, it was windy as fuck. And it lasted for like 5 hours. It would not stop. Blue wasn't as worked up as he was the last time. But this time I realized, now that these storms got him anxious and shit. That I was like, okay, and it didn't matter because I was stocking up, y'all. I was eating and shit. So I was just like, we just gonna be up tonight. So I let him, I ended up actually putting him back in his crate, but I laid on the couch and just watched TV. And as long as he could see me, he was whimpering a little bit, but he was fine. And I still want him to get, I'm still trying to keep him conditioned to being in that crate during the storm because, we might be gone during the day or something. And if a storm hits, he get all worked up. Like, I can't have that. So I was like, I'm going to stay here. And he's over there and he can see me. And, so that was fine. So he whined a little bit. But eventually, about 2 o'clock, the wind stopped. And he finally fell asleep good. Like, I could hear him snoring. So that was good. Now, Roxanne took that fucking pill. I think it's called misoprostol or something like that. The real rock star doctors and nurses out there. I'm sure y'all, probably know what I'm talking about. But I had to take one Wednesday night and one Thursday morning before the surgery. I mean, when I got up. Bitch. Now, I'm not going to disrespect the sanctity of labor, Anybody out there that's had a baby, labor pains ain't no joke, okay? I ain't going to be that dramatic and say that shit hurt like that, but what I will say is that this 53-year-old uterus and ovaries and all that, it was not prepared for the kind of cramps that this one little pill gave me. I didn't feel like I was in labor, but it definitely felt like that pre-labor. Anybody that's been induced, they say that this is the medication that they use for inducing labor. Like the first stages of inducement. I'm sure there's stuff that's way stronger. But like I said, this cooch ain't, this shit, the stomach, none of that was prepared. I took that pill and I even thought that it would take a couple of hours for it to start working, and by the end I'd be kind of drowsy. But really about 45 minutes later, baby, we was on the road to dilation, I guess, softening. And that shit hurt. Like, I was like, oh, the doctor was like, you might have a little mild discomfort. I said, nigga, this ain't mild discomfort. This shit hurt. At that point, I knew I wasn't getting no sleep Wednesday night because my intention was Thursday morning, get up, do top of the blogs, record it, and then go do my surgery and then get home Thursday evening. As long as I feel good, I could edit it. I'm just sitting there, So that was my intention. That's why I asked for, because otherwise I wouldn't even ask for topics or anything because I knew people would probably be looking for it on Friday, today. But so that was my intention. But you guys, Wednesday night, my stomach, oh my God, the cramps. And I was like, he said, I can't take nothing. I can't drink nothing. I was nauseous. I was like, I'll be fucking damned. I know you lying. If I gotta be sitting up here all night feeling like I'm in labor or some shit, I was just like, what is going on? So no sleep, nothing but pain. And then I was kind of moaning. I didn't want to wake up Mister, so I just stayed on the couch. The couch has a recliner, but it really still ain't for sleeping on like that, So that wasn't the most comfortable. But yeah, just no sleep Wednesday night. So Thursday morning, I was just like, and then I was dreading having to take that second pill Thursday morning, but I knew I had to take it because I was worried that my cramps were even going to get worse. I was like, if this shit is worse, I am not going to be able to even walk well, So I took the second pill, and thank God the pain just stayed the same. It didn't get worse. It just continued on. Okay, so at least that part was better, because I was just like, oh, don't tell me this shit is gonna be twice that, So anyway, it was I got up. I had to be at the hospital at 11:30. So we, Mr. and I went to the hospital, and when we were checking in, the lady was like, Roxanne, what was the times, that they gave you? I said, well, they told me to be here at 11:30 and that my surgery would be at 1 o'clock. They were like, well, here it says your surgery is at like 2:45. And I was like, I don't care. I could have waited, but a bitch was hungry. I was just like, if I got to wait till 2:45, and I can't drink that, can I have a little ice chip or something? Nigga is thirsty or something. They were like, oh, you can't really have nothing. So that kind of was my irritation. But I guess the schedule got thrown off some kind of way. I was like, fine. But they took me back right away. And actually, a lot of the getting set up took a long time, taking, and you guys will be happy to hear that I am now 147. I told you I've been eating my ass off. And I could tell that the pounds were coming back on because I can always tell through my clothes. So that was good news, But anyway, once I got set up in the bed, changed clothes, all that, they were like, you can watch TV. I watched it. I started watching Pit Bulls and Parolees. I love that show. And then finally, about 2:25, they're like, okay, we're ready. We're going to take you back. So they took me back. The doctor came and talked to me beforehand, told me again exactly what we were going to do and, what his intentions were. And, all that made me very comfortable, just very happy with him. Very communicative and very knowledgeable, and makes you feel, great bedside manner is important to me. And he, I like a motherfucker that's gonna tell me what it is, but I also like somebody that is concerned for me, and whether or not it's fake or not, I don't know, but he had it. So so he put me very at ease, because I've been nervous, I've been stressed, I've been anxious, I've been upset about this, because like I said, I've never had surgery. I just have never been that one that has had health issues. So I have been extremely stressed about this, ever since that second blood transfusion. But anyway, so they take me back, and, they did the thing through my IV. So it was like 1 minute I was talking to the doctors, like I knew from getting teeth pulled, I've been put to sleep, or, just that local anesthesia. I've known them to give you a countdown or tell you, okay, just start, counting backwards or something. I didn't even have that. We were talking, and the next thing I know, I opened my eyes and I thought we were still having a conversation, but I hadn't even noticed I was in a different area. But the lady was like, okay, we're gonna bring your stuff. I'm gonna tell your husband to come back and all that. And I was like, oh, why? Like, is there a problem? And she was like, no. I said, is it done? And she was like, yeah, it's over. Doctor's already talked to your husband. And I was like, oh, okay, well, good, So, Mr. came back there, and he was like, told me what the doctor told him. Everything went well. They got everything that they wanted. They were able to remove one cyst. The other one had pretty much dissolved, so it wasn't there. And, they sent everything to the pathologist, but, so far everything's good. I didn't even really bleed. And the nurse did tell me as well that I only the doctor actually came back right when after I had gotten dressed and was just about to leave. He came back over and he told me, he said, you shouldn't have any bleeding. He said, you only bled a little bit during the surgery, maybe about a teaspoon of blood. He was like, so if you soaking out, I know TMI, you guys, but if you soaking out pads and shit, like, that's not normal. You shouldn't really be doing that. And so I said, okay. So he's just telling me the things to look out for if I get a fever, stuff when you get infection, you already know. He was like, no sex, for 7 days. I was like, we've gone 3 months. So, and he was like, no baths. And that's when I was like, what? Because y'all know Roxanne is a bath girl, but I understand they don't want me to get any infection and stuff. So no bath for 7 days, no sex for 7 days. And, sent me on my way. So I was like, okay. So I felt good yesterday when we left. I just was tired. And I figured the anesthesia was probably still running through me and all that. So I knew to take it easy. Got home. And I think a combination of maybe Blue felt that I didn't feel well as well as he was probably tired from the night before too, because we were up with the fucking storm. Blue was nice and calm last night, which he normally is not. I did take him on a walk, a very slow walk, but I felt up to it. And then came home, let him stay out till about 10 this time, just trying to make sure that he was good and tired. Put him up, and we didn't have any issues. He went right to sleep. And honey, I had poured me a little, how you get them little instant margarita little bullshit at the grocery store. I just wanted something, so I drank that. After I ate my dinner, I drank that and gave Jada the rest, what was a little bit that was left. And honey went to sleep and slept like a fucking rock. And so this morning, Friday, my intention was to get up and do top of the blogs then edit it and get it up later on today. But I woke up, I'm usually up by like 6:45. I woke up, it was 8 o'clock. I didn't even hear Joe when he left because he usually leaves at 6:45. That's like my alarm. I didn't hear none of that. I just exhausted this morning. Okay, bitch is 53. The bounce back just ain't what it was, child. And so I was just like, oh, I'm so tired. I just do not feel like getting up. But I was like, I can't skip. I can't be skipping videos and stuff, So, I was like, I'm gonna get up and do it. But like I said, after I thought about adding this story time to top of the blogs, like it was gonna make it way longer. And so I was just like, let me just make this a separate video. And it looks like top of the blogs, this is not gonna be up until tomorrow. So you guys will just have to give me that grace. But I know everybody, when you see this and stuff, people are going to say, oh, Roxanne, take care of yourself first. And you ain't got to do that. And don't be rushing back. And we going to wait. And I really appreciate that. And I know that about you guys. But I did say that I was going to keep you guys in the loop about what's going on with me. One, because as my appearance may change or whatever is going on with me, I would rather people know what's going on as opposed to y'all be, whispering with your friends like, girl, did you see Roxanne? What's going on? She ain't said nothing. Because, I've done that about other people too. And then, quite frankly, this has been like a scary situation for me. And it helps when I know that other people have been through it too and have reached out and said things like, usually I like to stay private about things. But in this situation, it's just so out of left field and I just did not know how to handle it. And it felt like I needed to talk to somebody or people who have been through something similar. So it feels good to be able to express it and, kind of just let you guys know. And then also, you guys, I am going to stay up on all of my health. I used to be one of those ones that would push through, and still get shit done. And for the most part, I'm like that still, but I also know now that I am not as young as I used to be, and I got things that I still need to do in life, and I can't afford to ignore problems that might be going on in my body or anything like that. I mean, we've seen many friends die and get really ill, and maybe it might have been situations where if they would have caught it earlier, that they could have been here longer. And I am 100% aware of that. Nobody is more aware of their mortality than when you start hitting them ages where you start seeing your friends die off and, all of that. And I have kids. Like, I want to be here for my kids. I want to be here for my grandkids. Joe and Jada, Joe and Jada did not get to have the relationship with my mother that I wanted them to have. That's always been like a big hang up for me because my nieces and nephews all remember my mom. Child, we ain't gonna be crying. My nieces and nephews all remember my mom very well, and Joe and Jada not so much. So that always hurts me. And so I have every intention of being here for my grandkids. Like, I want to see my grandkids graduate from high school. And so I know that I 100% am going to keep my eye on my health and make sure that I gotta do, even with the shit being as scary as it can be. I am going to be at that damn doctor's office. I was just telling my friend the other day, I said, honey, the doctor's office is a new club at 50, baby. I ain't never had so many fucking doctor's appointments. I missed my original pre-op appointment because I was getting mixed up with the pre-op for the colonoscopy, and I didn't know when damn internal medicine doctor, they just sending me all these confirmations, and I was like, now what appointment is this for? I was missing shit and forgetting shit, and I was so confused. So yeah, you guys, I'm gonna stay on it. So you guys don't have to worry about that. If my body tells me that I need to sit it the fuck down, I am at that point where I will sit it the fuck down. Like, I'm not going to be just working like a fucking, I ain't never had hustle mentality. That's never been in me. But I ain't even gonna be pushing through if a bitch ain't gotta push through. Okay? If the shit can wait, I will do that. So I don't worry about that. You guys don't have to be, like that with me. But anyway, just wanted to give you guys this story time, just to let you know what's been going on. And like I said, top of the blogs will probably be up. Well, it will be up tomorrow. All right, you guys, let me get on off of here. Make sure that you thumbs up the video, comment, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I'm Roxanne. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Until next time, Roxstars. Goodbye.